members of the Parliament, I would like to greet you all wholeheartedly with love and affection. I wish all of you success in the Commission work and also in the General Assembly meetings of our Turkish Grand National Assembly. I would like to thank each one of you for all the contributions to the legislative process, which enlightens the future of our country. You are listening to the voice and the challenges of our nation, who sends you here as their representatives, and we follow your sincere efforts in order to hear out the concerns and the problems of our nation. The Turkish Grand National Assembly, as the more efficiently it works, then our country will reach even closer to its targets. With our general organization, with our municipalities, with our bureaucracies, as the Turkish Grand National Assembly, we are working with all our efforts in order to make sure that we are serving to our nation. All the works from the start of this year even shows us that we have materialized and executed many projects for our nation. From the onset of this year, we have opened the plane production facility to service, and we have commissioned the Konya-Karaman fast train railway, and we have carried out the mass opening ceremony of the organized industrial zone. Ufuk test, education and intelligence ship has been commissioned for service. In Aydın Söke province, we have opened our greatest paper production factory. In Giresun-Dereli province, we have delivered the keys of the housings to the victims of the disaster. The 1915 Çanakkale Bridge has been put to service as well, and we have participated in the opening ceremony of Tokat Airport, and we have participated in the opening ceremony of Malatya Highway. We have carried out online Faselis tunnel opening ceremony. Pınarhisar and Çakıllı Highway opening ceremony was among the opening ceremonies that we participated online. In Idlib, also in other secure zones, we have also carried out the opening ceremonies of 57,000 briquette houses. We have also participated in the distribution of the education materials to our schools, and we have come together with our young athletes. And we are also proud, and we share the pride of the opening ceremony of Rize Airport. In Istanbul, we have carried out the foundation ceremony of Darül Aceze Institution. The first welding and the towing ceremony of our national submarine was carried out by us again. And in Azerbaijan, our brotherly and friendly country, we have carried out the Techno Fest ceremony with the spirit of one nation, two states, and one festival.
Azerbaycanlı kardeşlerimizin 28 Mayıs Bağımsızlık Günü'nü
we have also celebrated the National Independence Day of our Azerbaijani brothers and sisters on 28th of May, and we have crowned this day with the Techno Fest festival. And we have also participated a lot of opening ceremonies in Ankara and in Istanbul as well. Last but not least, we have also celebrated the 569th anniversary of the conquest of Istanbul, and with the participation of 569,000 people, we have carried out the opening ceremony of the National Garden of Istanbul in the old Istanbul airport. As Mevlana says, the good days will not come to your feet. You should walk towards beautiful and good days. So with all those efforts, we are carrying Turkey to brighter days. We know that conquest is an ongoing process. That's why without getting tired and getting rest, we work day and night. The ones who are seeing Istanbul as a pillage rather than a city of embrace cannot understand the Ottoman Empire, and they cannot even comprehend the Turkish Republic or even what we do as a service to our nation today. As we have always articulated, what matters is the conquest of the hearts of our people. The history dictates us to establish tolerance, prosperity, and peace. And in order to realize those targets, we are fighting a great battle. By taking the inspiration from our ancestors, in every land in which the Turkish flag is raised, we are fighting to turn those lands into the lands of peace and prosperity. That's why the 29th of May 1453 is a very important step in which we are constructing the bridge from the past to today. By turning Hagia Sophia to its original status, we, thanks to God, have closed the wound which has been opened at the center of the conquest. Hagia Sophia, with its adhans, with its salat, is indeed just like a flag raised at the center of Istanbul and finds its place in our civilization. And I thank to my God for bestowing us this opportunity. Turning Istanbul into such a beautiful city also broadened the horizons of the Europeans. If you follow the tracks of Renaissance, you will find yourselves in those lands. Despite the fact that many centuries have passed with its Bosphorus, with its historical monuments, Istanbul is a city which gives the source of inspiration to many artists, to many composers and many poets. Let's take a look to Çamlıca Hill. As we have come to our office, the Çamlıca Hill was nothing but a dirty place with all those towers. It was such a disaster indeed. The ones who are sensitive about the environment never said to themselves and never questioned themselves about what they do. But after we have come to office, we have get rid of all those piles of steel, and with a wonderful design, we have constructed the Çamlıca Tower to the Çamlıca Hill. So right now, our people from a different background, different ethnicities, and different skin color and religious belief comes to Istanbul and studies and works in Istanbul. This is not a burden on us. This is something as a gain for us. But this is our understanding. But what the opposition parties say, they said that they are illegal migrants and we cannot accept them. And when we have come to office, we will send them back. That's what the opposition party says. This is the only difference between us and the opposition party. They are not a civil indeed. They have nothing to do with the civilization. Whatever service we provide to the capital of our civilization, to Istanbul, whatever work we do for Istanbul, we cannot pay our debts. This is Istanbul at the end of the day. The work that we registered as the Atatürk Airport National Garden is just like a respiratory tract for Istanbul. It is a monument of beauties in Istanbul, and it will serve to our people. The dream of our civilization is symbolized on a plane tree and its branches, and being such a nation, I do believe we deserve such kind of an artwork, and it will be really important for us to crown the beauties of Istanbul with such kind of an artwork, and that's what we do at the moment. Istanbul Airport, which is the most modern airport in the world, with its increasing passenger capacity and reputation, is a source of pride for our country, and it continues with its work. Atatürk Airport, with its military airport and the civilian aprons, also preserves its function as an airport, and it will continue to preserve its function as an airport. For example, we use Atatürk Airport in our domestic and international departures, and at the same time the international head of states are welcomed in Atatürk Airport as well. And also the emergency flights are carried out via Atatürk Airport. Well, dear brothers and sisters, I would like to call upon our citizens who watch us in front of their screen. And what did we do in the Atatürk Airport? We have constructed a city hospital with 1,006 bed capacity within 3 months only. This is what we are supposed to do. The main opposition party tries to deceive our people by presenting the storage house as an hospital. That is what they do. But we were able to construct a city hospital in the Atatürk Airport with a bed capacity of 1,006. MRI devices, ultrasound devices, the tomography devices, the cutting-edge technology is present in this city hospital. So this hospital is full-fledged with the cutting-edge technology. Likewise, in Sancaktepe district, we have constructed another city hospital with the same bed capacity, with the full refurbishments and all the technological devices. But this is not enough, of course. In both of those places, we still have the airport. You remember our citizens who are left to die in Germany and in Netherlands, but this is not the case anymore. So in those countries, they said that these patients are intubated, so they will not survive. So we have taken all of our citizens with our ambulance planes, and we have brought them to our country, and their treatments go on. Well, if God is willing, no one can either delay or bring forward the death time of anyone if God is not willing. We have heard some news from Germany. There was a patient of us at old age, and they said that this patient is going to die. Well, we will do our best to treat our patient, our citizens from abroad as well. Well, what is incumbent upon us? We show our utmost effort. The result will be eventually declared by our Creator, by our God. We are not one of those who are waiting to see the death, just like the Westerners do. We are ready as if we will be dying after 1 second. But we cannot say to any of our patients that she is intubated, so she can die at any moment. We will do our best here to save them. So we have to use the means and opportunities provided to us by God. Istanbul Atatürk Airport, which is at the epicenter of the city, will not be able to use its function as an airport. This would have been injustice to the citizens of Istanbul. Due to many reasons, Istanbul needed a new airport in a more suitable location. And in order to meet this need with BOT model and without imposing any additional burden to the treasury, we have constructed the new airport. This new airport with IGA abbreviation is one of the first of its class in the world. It's a modern, luxurious airport. And we developed this airport even further. So, in order to meet the accommodation needs of the arrivals and departing passengers, we will give the necessary support to the contracting company. And with the construction of those airport hotels, the Istanbul airport will become even more stronger. And hopefully, the Istanbul airport will be the #1 airport in the world after the necessary taxis are constructed. Only the cargo side of the Istanbul airport has the size of the Atatürk airport. Apart from the part of Atatürk airport which is used for the planes, the rest of it has turned into a national garden and has been put to the service of our citizens. As a symbol of the conquest, we have planted 145,300 trees to this national garden. And we have also constructed the infrastructure which will serve to the needs of our citizens, from a picnic to reading books and wandering inside of the garden. On a daily basis, 1 million people can benefit from the National Garden. And at the same time, we have planted an olive tree with the age of 350 years old, and with the plantation of this olive tree, this national garden will have a brand new identity. If you will, let's see the joy of the celebration of the Istanbul conquest and the opening ceremony of the National Garden. Right now, 560,000 people are in front of me.
İşte bu amca var ya, bu amca. Bu amcanın
Well,
geldiği böyle bir fetih şöleni geri tepmez.
If this grandfather of us comes to the ceremony of the Istanbul the commemoration of Istanbul conquest, will of course be successful.
Allah'ın emrettiği adaleti o beldede hakim kılmaktır. Ülkesi ve milleti önceliği medeniyet davası olmayanlar
If you are not giving priority to our civilization, of course, we will not be able to understand the secrets behind our conquest. This area will turn into the biggest national garden in Turkey, in Istanbul.
devam eden kısımları dışında kalan
Apart from the taxis in Atatürk Airport, which is used for the aviation purposes, the rest of the area will turn into a national garden, and we will put this area to the service of the citizens of Istanbul. 145,300 trees will be planted in this area.
milletimizin efendisi olmaya değil.
We haven't come to office to be the masters of our citizens, but to be the servants for our people.
Nasıl?
How does it look?
Evet. Kayıtlara göre. Resmi
Well,
rakam
according to the
Cumhuriyet'in verdiği
official
562
statistics,
kişinin katılımıyla gerçekleştirdiğimiz
this opening ceremony has been carried out with the participation of 560,000 people. Mr. Kemal, pay
1453'te
attention.
başladı dediniz.
You were saying that the oppression starts with 1453.
İstanbul'umuzun başta Kadıköy olmak üzere bütün buralarda duvarlara
So your friends actually wrote the sentence to the street walls in
alkışlanacak bir durum yok.
Kadıköy district. Well, dear friends, we shouldn't applaud it. I mean, we should cry for them.
Yalan ve iftira ile Millet Bahçesi
With
projesi
lies
üzerinden bize
and groundless
saldıranlara da
allegations,
en güzel
they
cevabı
actually attacked on us,
pazar
and the
günü
best
elhamdülillah
answer for those have been given to them
dünyanın
on
hiçbir
Sunday
yerinde
in the opening ceremony of the National Garden.
böylesine bir yeşil alan kazandırılması projesine karşı çıkacak aklı başında
Well, there are no sane people who will stand against such kind of a project.
ülkemizde birileri böyle bir hizmeti dahi siyasi husumet
Unfortunately, inside of our country, inside of Turkey, there are the ones who lost their minds, their honor, their moralities, and their consciousness, who are even trying to abuse this project for
savunmak olan
their political gains.
daha yaşanabilir yerler haline getirecek projeler üretmek olan pek çok
Well, there are many institutions who are trying to develop many environmental friendly projects, but those institutions are standing against in every positive step that we take. We actually expect that from the same parties to stand with us when it comes to the National Atatürk Airport National Garden project, and they should be expected from them to speak against those who try to prevent us from this project. As the poet says, stop and let me open my arms and cry out, stop and take a look. The whole world is collapsing on us, and we see the cracking sounds above our head, as the poet says. So the poet, I mean our master, actually projected these days. Hopefully, without getting tired, we will continue to work day and night. So, did you ever see that they were not criticizing those who stood against the National Garden project, because at the end of the day they are not even sensitive about the environment. They are abusing the trees and the environment for their hidden political agendas and their ideologies, and their masks have fallen down once again during the National Garden project in Atatürk Airport. Let me speak much more clearly and openly. There are not anyone else who loves environment and trees more than us. This is our job. We don't pay attention to those
hizmet kervanımızı
as they
yürütmek
criticize us, but we continue to
önümüzdeki yıl
give the best services to
570.
our
yıl
nation.
törenlerini
Hopefully,
Atatürk Havalimanı
the
Millet Bahçesi'nin
commemoration
kısımları üzerinde yaparak
and the anniversary,
kifayetsiz
570th anniversary of the conquest of Istanbul will be celebrated in the Atatürk Airport National Garden, in which we will give the answer that those ambitious people deserve. I would like to thank first and foremost the Ministry of Environment and all our institutions for the realization of such a great project. Valuable friends at COES, just like any work that we executed, Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu criticized the National Garden project as well, and he really saluted the Kandil by opting for the rhetoric of the terrorist organization in Van. And after the 2011 earthquake, we have reconstructed the city from scratch, but he doesn't know that we have reconstructed the city of Van from scratch. Do you know the situation in Van after one earthquake? How many times did you go to Edremit, to Erciyes, to Van? How many times did you visit the city of Van? And let me speak approximately, but minimum we have spent 35 billion Turkish liras to Van for the reconstruction of its super and infrastructure. Edremit,
denize nazır villa diyeceğim. O hale geldi.
After the earthquake, we have reconstructed those buildings, and those buildings looked like villas in a coastal area. When you visit Erciyes, you will see those luxurious buildings. So, on one side, the Van Lake sees Bitlis and Erciyes provinces, but if you ask Mr. Kemal, he doesn't even know the correct name of the Kağıthane district in Istanbul. I wonder whether he will be able to show the location of one on a map, but our political life is full with the official visits that we paid to one district. That's how we work.
Eğer bu PKK örgütünün uzantısı olanlar görevde olmuş olsaydı,
if the offshoots of the PKK terrorist organization was in office at the moment, most probably the citizens of Van wouldn't be able to find a potable water.
olmadığı halde
Well, although the
Van'a suyu biz götürdük.
State Hydraulic Works doesn't have such kind of a responsibility, we bring the potable water to Van, because Van is a metropolitan municipality. That's why they have the responsibility of finding the potable water. When we have come to office, the Istanbul has problems in terms of reaching out to potable water. And after we have come to office, which we have taken from the CHP government, by the way, we have provided the potable water to Istanbul, but Mr. Kemal doesn't know about these realities. He doesn't understand from politics at all. So I would like to call upon the supporters of CHP. You have lived those bad experiences in Istanbul, in Ankara, and I have called upon my brothers and sisters in Van. You have experienced that disaster from the first night on. Who stood by you? The back then Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and his friends, his colleagues, stood by you after the disaster. Well, indeed, Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu knows all about this, but they have eyes and they don't see. They have ears, but they don't hear. And he has a mouth, but he can't speak because his heart is sealed with evil. Dear brothers and sisters, in order to prevent the public funds to go into the hands of the terrorist organization, he even criticizes the system, and he is using such a rhetoric, and you might think that he is speaking on behalf of the terrorist organization, and he gives such figures and such numbers that it even doesn't add up with the budget of a regional district. Well, Mr. Kemal is so pathetic that he is claiming that he has provided such a big service by opening a fountain which doesn't even flow water. So all the services that he claims that he provides is not at the level of the service that we provide at the district. And he stated that I will prevent and ask the corruption cases inside of the CHP municipalities. Well, the ones who are stealing from the nation is a thief, but the ones who are protecting those thieves are the greatest thieves at all. So Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu showed his stance as he has protected the thieves. And Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu, while praising the city of Van, was also threatening the investors coming to our country. Do you know why? Because this person is indeed a liar. Believe me, he is a liar, and he lacks a spine, because this person is there for a project. He is an apparatus. From the day he has been brought to the leadership of his party with a video scandal, he doesn't do any service to this nation other than carrying out those dark projects. And have you ever witnessed that he has provided any service to this nation? Well, he says that if we come to office as the main opposition party with their offsprings, they will not pay the money to the contracting companies, they say. Well, how dare you can articulate such sentences, because sustainability is the basis in a state administration. Well, there is the rule of law in this country, and you have to pay the debt of the state to those contracting companies. Well, I have never said to those contracting companies saying that these contracting companies have been supported by the CHP, and I'll not pay for them, because we don't hold bad feelings to those contracting companies. As long as you are doing your job properly, as long as you are investing in this nation, it doesn't matter from which political ideology you are, we will give our best support to you. From Demirtaş to Kavala case, from Fethullah terrorist organization to PKK terrorist organization, he always supported those terrorist organizations. This person has always spoken about the construction of Turkam Foundation in America, but he never criticized the activities of the terrorist organization in abroad. So we know that this foundation was constructed, this dorm was constructed for giving service to our students studying abroad. But
daha da çatlatacağız.
Muhammad Ali Foundation will also benefit from this place, and we will also make this person even more jealous after we put the storm into service.
Bu zatın eğitim faaliyeti yürüten vakfımıza yaptığı her iftirayı burnundan
So we will make sure that this individual will pay the price of each of its groundless allegation. This is incumbent upon all of us, and we will make sure that he is paying the price not only in this life but in the eternal life as well. So this individual who has no other duties other than attacking us and our families, we will make sure that he will be paying the price. His lies have been proven by the courts, but he is repeating his lies again and again as if he is articulating for the first time. No honorary men will opt for such lies again and again. He is throwing out many lies from the tank pellet factories and stating and claiming that the public funds will be stolen and sent abroad. Well, he is making use of media manipulations, lies, slander campaigns, and defamation activities. Those individuals, since they lacked the morality, first they will play the scenario being dictated to them, and they will say many lies, but later they will deny the lies that they have said. He is so desperate, he is not being accepted by many public institutions, but still he states that they are afraid of us and running away from us, so we show pity to him. So may God forgive us, but if needs be, we should pull them down a peg or two, because this is what they deserve. Because if we are not disclosing the reality and the facts, they will abuse the situation and they will say greater lies. That's why we have to really show them their limits. Of course, for 2023 presidential election, Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu gathered every possible opponent next to him so that he can prevent their possible opponents in the presidential election. Well, when the topic is his political future, we know that he is acting like a hawk, saying that either you will abide to my wishes or you wouldn't be my opponent at all. So he is also trying to teach a lesson to the table of six, but those leaders of the political party, although Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu tried to teach them a lesson, didn't stand against him. I believe their respiratory tract, which is held by Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu, prevented them from criticizing him. Well, it is their duty to find a candidate for the presidential election, and this is no concern for us. So from this rostrum, I would like to call upon Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu, and I would like to ask a couple of questions to him. But hopefully, he will answer this question with crystal clear answers rather than opting for the puns and plays of words, because if we can answer this questions crystal clear fashion, then we can see him as an addressee. My first question is as follows. From PKK to YPG, from DHKPC to Fethullah terrorist organization. So, are you ready to curse all those terrorist organizations with its offsprings and their media supporters? Are you ready to curse them or not? My second question is as follows. Are you supporting the cross-border operation of Turkey carried out against PKK to YPG? My third question is as follows. As we have seen once again that Finland and Sweden is opting for an Hippocratic approach towards our country by supporting the terrorist organization. So what do you think about those countries? My fourth question. Are you supporting the national battle of our country in the Eastern Mediterranean? Are you supporting Turkey or our opponents? My fifth question is as follows. Are you at least on a principle level supporting the economic struggle that we give during the pandemic times? My sixth question is as follows. Are you ready to follow politics finding its basis in the national interest of our country? My seventh question. Are you ready to develop your policies and politics and define your political agenda with your colleagues rather than receiving orders from abroad? My eighth question. For thousands of years, we have shed these lands with our blood and turn these lands into our homeland. Do you accept to act like the son of this great homeland to protect the national interest of this homeland or not? My ninth question. Are you ready to sack the rapists, the abusers, and the supporters of the terrorist organizations? My 10th question. If you have the courage, are you going to be the candidate for presidential election in 2023 presidential elections or not? Of course, I can add many more questions to this list of questions, but if you can only, if he can only answer those 10 questions, it will be enough for us. Well, pay attention, Mr. Kemal. If you are ready to answer those questions without havevers and buts, if you answer those questions with sincerity, then we will reconsider our approach towards you. Otherwise, we will continue to say that liars cannot make president of the opposition leader, and the ones who are criticizing its own country for the foreign forces. And we will continue to say that we will not leave this country to the incapable, political, ambitious people. We will continue to say those sentences again and again. Dear brothers and
Biz ve
sisters,
işimiz milleti gücümüz kabul ederek durmadan
our nation is our
dinlenmeden
greatest strength.
yolumuzda
So
ilerleyecek.
without getting tired, we will continue with our sacred path, with our 2023 targets and 2053 vision. We will continue to found great
Milletin geleceğini
Turkey.
kabusa çevirmek için
Let
kendi
them
aralarında şeytanın aklına gelmeyecek ayak
try
oyunlarıyla
to
uğraşsınlar.
opt for
Biz AK Parti
the
ve
tricks
Cumhur İttifakı
in
olarak
order to destroy this
milletimizin
country
hayallerini
that
gerçeğe
even
dönüştürmek
the
için önümüze
devil
çıkan
cannot
engelleri
imagine. But
birer
as
birer
the
aşarak
People's Alliance, as the
Cumhuriyetimizin
Justice and
100.
Development
yılına
Party, we
ve
will
Tin
overcome all those
600. yılına
obstacles
Malazgirt'in
put in front of
1000.
eye,
yılına
and we
hazırlanmaya
will
devam
get
edeceğiz.
ready for the 1000th year anniversary of the
Sevgili
conquest of
kardeşlerim,
Istanbul and the
tarihimize
1000th
Gezi olayları
year
adıyla
anniversary
bir
of
ihanet,
the
bir
Malazgirt
utanç,
battle.
bir vandallık vesikası olarak geçen hadiselerin 9.
This is the 9th year of the Gezi events, which was written in our history as a symbol of vandalism. Those unfortunate events started and was aggravated in 2013 with the so-called excuses that the trees are cut down. Those events turned into an upheaval which targeted the national sovereignty of our country. Those bandits, those terrorists inside of our mosques have put dirt inside of this mosque with the beer cans. Well, those are rotten and corrupt people. They don't know the sacredness of those temples, of those mosques. The ambulances, the police cars and vehicles and the public transportation vehicles were put into fire. And we know very well who supported those forces of the Gezi events. Was Mr. Kemal present there? Yes, he was there because he was the prominent figure who aggravated all those events because they love the terrorist organizations. So they try to treat all those dirty figures and dark figures as the democratic heroes, but what they do there was nothing but the fifth column activities. Yesterday they were insulting our police forces as they were carrying out their duties on the 9th or 15th of July coup attempt. Those so-called politicians, those propagators who has been brought to our Turkish Grand National Assembly from the list of HDP and CHP will pay the price. So this is such a high level of immorality. They say that I am an MP. It doesn't matter whether you are an MP or not. You have no right to insult our police forces. You cannot place such a banner on our bridge. So what happened? You were not allowed to put such a banner on the bridge, and you will pay the price in our courts as well. And the ones who are trying to divide our nation will also pay the price as well, and we are determined to do that. Beyoğlu Culture Festival is one of the most beautiful organizations, which shows the approach of us towards our artists. This festival will continue until 12th of June, and 53 different art and culture organizations will take part in this festival. 5,000 artists will perform in this festival as well, and it will host more than 550,000 spectators. Ankara Başkent Culture Festival will also cover many cultural events, including but not limited to Presidential Symphony Orchestra building with 560,000 event will be carried out within the scope of this festival. So I certainly, and from the bottom of our heart, believe that there are not anyone else who organized as many festivals and cultural events as we do. We are not saying in vain that the Gezi event was an upheaval triggered by the foreign forces. From the fall of the stock exchange to the fluctuations in the forexes, we still fight against many economic problems, and all those economic problems were triggered by the Gezi event. This was the tipping point of all those problems. Its economic cost only equals to $1.5 billion, but its indirect cost equals to hundreds of billions of dollars. But it was also a triggering point for many unfortunate events to follow, as they couldn't accomplish what they targeted for with the Gezi event. They tried to overthrow the legitimate government of this country with the 15th of July coup attempt. As they couldn't accomplish it with the coup attempt, they mobilized the terrorist organization and they opened pits in the eastern provinces, and unfortunately they destroyed all the beauties of those provinces. Those hidden scenarios were not proven successful after the elections. By making use of the Fethullah terrorist organization, they dared to commit a coup attempt, but with our nation, we foiled their games, and as a result, they brought their headquarters abroad. They tried to turn our borders into a terror corridor, but we have penetrated into their dens and their caves, and we foiled their games. We have done this in Judi, in Gabar, we have foiled their games in Tendirek, in Bestar River. Yes, we have foiled their games, and we penetrated into their dens and their caves. And against those attacks on our economy with the foreign exchange fluctuations, interest rates and inflation, we fought against all those economic traps. We paid huge prices in our economic fight, and we continue to pay those prices. But with the help of God, we find ourselves new instruments in our economic fight. On the basis of current account surplus, production, employment, we have implemented the Turkish brand new economic program. Last year was completed with 11% growth rate. Yesterday, we have received the first quarter economic growth figures, and the Turkish economy grew by 7.3%, and this is at a desired level that we want in line with our targets. And we have broken a record by surpassing 30 million of additional employment. Of course, we know the problems of our citizens with the high level of inflation, but similar problems are also felt in the advanced countries, if not the whole globe. due to the global challenges. As we have fought against the totalist supporters and the terrorist organizations, as we have stood against the coup attempts, as long as we have embraced our solidarity, our unity, and our brotherhood, we will continue to work day and night. If we can do so, then we will overcome this process with the least damage inflicted possible. I would like to say to all of our citizens, rest assured, we will not lose any one of our citizens to the claw of despair or poverty. The number of the markets opened by our agricultural cooperatives reached to 1,300, and we will increase the number of those markets to the level of 1,500, if not 3,000, so that those markets opened by our agricultural credit cooperatives will provide goods to our citizens with the less prices. We will side with the one who produces so that we will compensate the loss of prosperity arising out of inflation. The principle of let people live so that state shall live will be the basis of our activities as we go forward. With our public officers, with our pensioners, with our agricultural workers, we will meet the needs of every part of our society. Dear brothers and sisters, I would like to say a couple of words to our youngsters, to our women, to our tradesmen. We will give them the necessary support, starting with our state banks. Hopefully, in the upcoming weeks and upcoming months, we will herald the good news to our citizens, to our nation. Even the poorest person in this nation should go to bed full, otherwise we cannot sleep at ease at night. As we are fighting this combat inside of our nation, we are also not overlooking to the lives of our brothers and sisters in abroad. We give support to our brothers and sisters from Libya to Karabakh. Wherever we give our support, the sounds of victory and glory are heard in those lands. We foil all the games played against our country, but we should never forget that the divine justice will come to the fruition. The divine justice will find everyone. As you follow yourselves, the security problems and the humanitarian tragedy goes on in the southeastern part of our borders, but the Western world is silent towards those tragedies. And the Western world was facing with the humanitarian tragedy only for 3 months, but we have been facing with it for the last 11 years. The ones who didn't support Turkey in this burden, but used their resources for increasing their prosperity, all of a sudden became alert after the Ukrainian crisis. So once again, I would like to say a couple of words to my citizens and to the international arena. The application process of Sweden and Finland is the outcome of such a process. Once again, I would like to reiterate that we will say no to the membership of Finland and Sweden as long as they continue to support the terrorist organization. That's what we have announced immediately after their applications, of course. NATO is a security organization. NATO is not an organization who can support the terrorist organizations, of course. That's why if those countries, Sweden, Finland, Germany, France, Netherlands, together with their police forces, continue to support those terrorist organizations, we cannot tolerate it. This is the case in Germany, this is the case in Netherlands, this is the case in France, in Sweden, and they also let the heads of those terrorist organizations speak inside of their parliaments. And I go one step further. They are even collecting money and donations for those terrorist organizations, and they are opening tents inside of their parliaments. I mean, since this is the case, how can we say yes to their membership? I mean, to those countries. The previous governments accepted France and Greece back to NATO. They left NATO, but the previous governments supported their membership back to NATO. Greece has provided the necessary ground for the opening of American bases, 5+4 of them in their lands. As you know, we had an agreement for high-level strategic commission with Greece. Yesterday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs told me that we have cancelled our agreement for high-level strategic council meetings with Greece because we are supporting an honorable foreign policy. If they are the ones who loses their honor in the foreign policy, we cannot cooperate with them. So they are using their warplanes and trying to demonstrate their power to us. You should come to your senses. Don't you ever learn anything from the history? And then you start crying out loud. You cannot dance with Turkey, so you cannot test your strength with Turkey. You will get tired. So by annulling this agreement, I told to our colleagues that we will not hold bilateral meetings with them because this Greece, unfortunately, will not come to her senses and will not learn her lesson. Only after Greece stops making such mistakes and acknowledges that she made mistake, then we can talk with them. They visit the American Senate and they are speaking against us and they go to Davos, but we are tired of their dishonest politics. If you are ready to be honest, then we will talk with you. Otherwise, unfortunately, we will not hold talks with you. Dear brothers and sisters, without Turkey saying yes, those countries cannot be a member of NATO. That's why a very intense diplomatic correspondences have been initiated, and with the legitimate reasons we have explained to those countries why we are against their membership. But up until now, they couldn't satisfy our expectations with the documents. Due to our unfortunate membership process, the application process with the European Union, we can not be convinced with the sole words. What we expect from Finland and Sweden and from their supporters. First and foremost, those countries should close the institutions who are supporting those terrorist organizations. We are putting aside the unfortunate events in the past, so the European countries should stand against the activities of those spoiled terrorist organizations. It is crystal clear that those countries are supporting them. The ones who are hosting the terrorist organization members at the highest level cannot convince us that they are showing respect to our expectations. The Finnish and Swedish delegations came to our country and they hold talks with our delegations. Well, it is quite interesting that after they held talks with our delegations, at the same night they had an interview with Salih Müslim, the head of the terrorist organization. So what kind of a sincerity we can speak about? By changing the name of those terrorist organizations, you cannot legitimize the PKK terrorist organization. You cannot deceive us, but you can only deceive yourselves. Because we know who is supporting the terrorist organization, who is not. If you like, let's take a look to the support given by the European countries to those terrorist organizations. During the last 40 years, Turkey has lost many of its soldiers as a martyr. Billions of Turkish liras have been spent in order to heal the wounds opened by the terrorist organization. With our political determination and the utmost effort of our security forces, the terrorism has already come to stop in our homeland. And we have destroyed the dens and the caves of those terrorist organizations inside and outside of Turkey. As we have fought a great battle to terrorist organization on one side, the NATO, which is indeed a security organization, didn't give the necessary support to the fight of Turkey against the terrorism. By changing the names of those terrorist organizations, the European countries gave support to PKK and YPG, and they have given them political, military and financial support, and they have kept a blind eye to all those humanitarian crimes. Sweden will give $350 million of financial support to PKK. The mines, the pistols from Italy, mine and automatic rifles, and the missiles from UK will be sent to terrorist organizations. PKK is receiving financial sources from the European countries, and the PKK is freely carrying out its activities inside of Europe for finding new members. Europe is embracing the terrorist organization. On Sunday, the terrorist organization members came together in Zurich. The squares of the European countries turned into platforms where the terrorist organizations are speaking freely. The humanitarian crimes are overlooked in those countries. With the street demonstrations, the terrorist organizations are conveying their messages, which are overlooked by the European countries. Those demonstrators are carrying out their demonstrations in Europe and in many European countries. The terrorist organizations which are attacking on the lives of civilians and trying to destabilize Syria and Iraq, and their heads are hosted at the highest level in the European countries. Salih Müslim, the leader of PYD, is hosted in German parliament.
Terör örgütü PYD'nin
The ex-leader of PYD, Salih Muslim, was on the Swedish national TV as the Swedish delegation was holding talks with the Turkish delegation.
Qualifying YPG and the others as terrorists, which is not our definition.
For the European Union, these forces are definitely not to be defined as terrorist organizations.
Avrupa'da sempatik görünmek için sözde özgürlük söylemleri üzerinden kendileri.
In order to receive the sympathy of the Europe, the terrorist organizations are founding the foundations and association, but we know their real face, and the real face of those terrorist organizations are trying to be explained to the world leaders in every platform. On one side, Turkey is trying to eradicate the terrorism, but on the other hand, we are fighting against the attempt of legitimization of those terrorist organizations, and we are fighting against this disinformation, and we are trying to show the dirty face of the terrorism to our interlocutors and addressees in every platform. So we are standing against those countries who are supporting those terrorist organizations, and we are saying to them that one day will come and you will be the victim of those terrorist organizations, and we will continue to our fight until every terrorists lose their lives. In order to establish the peace and stability in Europe and in the globe, we are inviting every European country to support us and side with humanity rather than terrorism. From this rostrum, once again, I would like to make a call to all the European countries who directly or indirectly support terrorist organizations. You are feeding a snake, so this snake can indeed poison you one day.
Evet. Görüldüğü gibi
As you can see,
Avrupa'nın değişik ülkelerinde
in different
yürüyüşlerini, gösterilerini
European countries, the terrorist organizations can easily demonstrate with the banners and the pictures of the terrorist leaders,
koruması altında.
and those demonstrations are even protected by the security forces of aforesaid countries. The ones who are trying to show the terrorist organization as the
Kadınların,
democracy
yaşlıların,
supporters,
güvenlik güçlerimizin katilleriyle
they
aynı safta.
are nothing but equals of the murderers of our babies, of our
Ve onun
civilians.
siyasi görünümlü yapısı tarafından daha kaçırılan Diyarbakır annelerinin çığlıklarına
They are not
kulaklarını
hearing
kapatan
the
Avrupa,
cry out
silahlı katil
of the
teröristlerden
mothers of
ekolojik
Diyarbakır
kahraman
whose
çıkarma
sons are
gayretleri, bunlar
kidnapped
büyük
by the terrorist organizations
yandaşlarının
cannot
faaliyetlerini
convince
sivil
us
toplum
about
görünümüne
their
sokarak
sincere
desteklerken,
efforts,
bizim
as they
insanımızın
are supporting
camileri,
the
dernekleri,
supporters and the offshoots of the terrorist
organizasyonların
organizations
üzerinde
under the
baskı
disguise
kuranlar
of the
demokrat
civil
değil.
society organizations.
Yani
They cannot be
birer
Democrats,
faşisttir.
but they are primitive
Türkiye'ye
fascists.
parasıyla vermedikleri silahları
They are not
arkadaşlar
selling
burası
those
çok önemli.
weapons to Turkey, even if we are ready to pay
savunma
it.
sanayi ürünlerini
But the defense
terör
industry products and all those weapons and
bila
ammunitions
bedel
are
aktaranlar, hukuk
given
devleti değil,
as a support free
terör
of charge
devleti
to terrorist
sıfatını hak eder.
organizations, so they are not the countries where the rule of law prevails, but they are the countries who are supporting terrorism.
İdeolojik ve fiziki eğitime tabi tutulan teröristlere her
The
türlü
terrorists
müdahaleyi gösteren,
who are
bizim
receiving the
kendilerine verdiğimiz listelerdeki
political
teröristlerin ise
training inside of
takip
their
dahi edemeyenler
countries
NATO'ya nasıl bir katkı verebilir ki?
cannot even track down those terrorists. So those countries, I wonder whether they
Ortak
can
güvenlik
give any
şemsiyesi
sort of
içindeki
contribution to
samimiyetin
NATO.
yolu
We
evvelemizde
want sincerity,
terörle mücadeledeki
and
samimiyetten geçer.
if they want to show
Teröristler
their
böylesine
sincerity,
pervasızca
they should show it
ve
first
kolayca
in
yol
their
veren
fight against the
bir
terrorist
ülkenin
organization.
bir tehdit karşısında bizimle ortak mücadele edecek.
So the countries who are wishing to become a member of NATO should show solidarity
Duruş sergileyecek.
with us against the
Bizim
common
birey
enemy.
sınırlarımızı teröristlere karşı korumak için yürüttüğümüz harekatlara
So
işgal
first and
diyecek kadar
foremost,
meseleden uzak olanlar mı?
they should
Ortak düşmana karşı
don't define our cross-border operation against the terrorist organization as invasion. I mean, we were siding with the, coalition forces according to what they claim, but we don't have such kind of a coalition
ve bağlayıcı belgeler
without
görmeden
satisfying
değiştirmek.
our expectations and without seeing binding legal
Güney
documents,
sınırlarımız
we
boyunca
will not
30
change
kilometre
our stance
derinliğinde güvenli
towards
bölge
this
oluşturma
membership.
kararımızın
And
yeni bir safhasına geçiyor.
we are continuing with a new phase of creating a safe and secure zone of 30 kilometers. We are cleansing Tel Rifat and Manbij region from the terrorists.
Ardından da aşama aşama
And
diğer
then
bölgelerde aynısını yapacağız.
gradually we will cleanse the other regions from the
Türkiye'nin bu meşru
terrorists.
güvenlik adımlarına bakalım kimler destek verecek?
Let's see who
kimler
will
köstek olmaya
support
çalışacak, göreceğiz.
the steps of Turkey and who will try to prevent Turkey from taking those steps.
üyeliği konusundaki
In a
yaklaşımı
nutshell,
fırsatçılık değil, terörle mücadele
the
konusunda
stance of Turkey regarding the Finland and a Swedish application to NATO is
hem de onların üyeliği için
nothing
uğraş
and has
gösterenler
nothing to do with
Türkiye'nin
opportunism,
güvenlik
but we are
hassasiyetlerini
opting for
anlar
a principled
ve
stance.
gereğini yapar.
Hopefully, those
Böyle bir
countries will
durumda
understand
bugüne
the
kadar
legitimate
NATO
expectations of
içindeki
Turkey
yükümlülüklerini bir hakkın yerine getiren bir ülke olarak
as a country who fulfilled
düşünüyoruz.
its duties inside of
lafını
NATO
ettiği,
up until now.
istismarını yaptığı
After seeing the
Ukrayna
sincerity coming
krizindeki
from those
katkılarımız
parties,
bile
we will
tek
do our
başına
best shares.
müttefiklerimizin
Even
ve
our
dostlarımızın
contribution
güvenliğine
in the
katkıda
case of
bulunma
Ukrainian
konusunda
crisis
sözümüzün
shows that we
olduğumuzun
are keeping our promises and our words when it comes
bir
to
kez daha
supporting
sizleri
our
sevgiyle,
allies. With those feelings in my
saygıyla
heart, I
selamlar.
greet you all with
Meclis
love and
çalışmalarında
respect, and I wish all of you
başarılar
success in
diliyorum.
your
Kalın
parliamentary
sağlıcakla.
work. May you all stay healthy and safe.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza konuşmalarından dolayı teşekkür ediyoruz. Grup toplantı